Howdy y'all, welcome back to Rotten Reelz Reviews, audio review number 51. Well, it's that time again in the year when Friday the 13th is upon us. Our favorite antagonist that ran about wearing a potato sack, slicing and dicing 20-somethings playing teens as a bloodbath ensued. How will this pan out? This is Friday the 13th, Part 3. Directed by Stephen Miner, oddly enough, of Friday the 13th, Part 3. Yeah, Night of the Creeps, House, Warlock, Elvis, Forever Young, and Halloween H2O 20 years later in Lake Placid. This film is literally the next day, thus technically Saturday the 14th, and yeah, that's a crappy movie. So we'll just call this Friday the 13th, Part 3. With the flashbacks of Ginny and Paul recapping the film prior does give content, continuity, and credibility the 3 C's. These 3D effects are already killing my eyes. Alright, back to 2D. Oh yeah, that's definitely better. A new group of co-eds on vacation to a cabin by Crystal Lake, where they pass cops, ambulances, and city workers of that nature. No bells in the head going off? Spider senses aren't tingling a bit? No? None of this is screaming bad juju? Alright. Jason is injured profusely by the previous encounters and is not the zombie mongoloid hillbilly resurrector that we have come to know and love thus far, so he did not simply bleed out and die? Well, your guess is as good as mine on that one. I'm going to go with Dark Pact with Satan. Sneaking around a crappy lakefront store for some clothes and a replacement mask. I guess he needed another potato sack. Still not quite sure what the obsession with actors pooping in this series is. But yeah, I guess it's just, oh look, an isolated character to kill. On the toilet. Huzzah. Richard Broker is now the third man to pick up the machete, pitchfork, bare hands, whatever he can get his hands on. Who, previously the only other thing I found him was Ogress of Deathstalker. Yeah, well, if any of you actually read that blog, it was entirely too rapey. Seriously, like in the first 5 minutes of the movie. Like, haha, I have saved you from these potential rapers. Now I'm gonna get some of mine. One of our soon-to-be victims is jokester Shelley, Larry Zinner of fame, New Love, American Style, Headley's Rebellion, Knights of Badassium, Found, and The Epidemic, has wacky gags, props, and even some nutty masks. Of these, of course, is the iconic hockey mask claimed from his killer to use to hide his ridiculous, hideous mongoloid face that keeps morphing into a zombified state for years to come, but is forever hidden away. Well, except for a few scenes, but hey, I don't need to keep continuity any better than this fucking series does. Slaughtering hippies, bikers, and teeny boppers brings out some of the goodness of the original too, but also allows to bring a bit of depth into Chris, Dana Kimmel of Days of Our Lives, Sweet 16, Lone Wolf McQuaid, and The Night Angel. As there is a connection to Jason Pryor, and yes, it is a little bit trope-ridden, but this is the 80s, and that is allowed as these are the building blocks of the slasher subgenre. Chris is being oversensitive about her attack on her folks' property, and really killing the mood for her on-again, off-again boyfriend, Ruck. Paul Kratka? Yeah, it's Kratka. Okay. Friday the 13th, Part 3, the day they came back, blood was everywhere, the Bone Garden, and Christ Rising. Damn, baby, don't want to hear about your turmoils and trouble. Daddy's got to get his dick wet. Yeah, stay classy, Rick. You piece of shit. As the couples are paired off and prepping for booze, pot, and premarital sex, we know in our heart of hearts our moral crusader Jason is ready to lay down the law. Could also be similar to the moral majority, You think these two would go hand in hand, but it's kind of like what George Carlin said. Does it strike you odd that most of the moral majority are people you wouldn't want to fuck in the first place? Well, I don't know for certain. Ladies, does a bulky, mongoloid hillbilly with a face that would make the Toxic Avenger the looker in that pairing get you all excited? Little moist? No? So damn picky. Now, whether or not you're watching this in the 3D vision, bear in mind this is the old school system. Yeah, you do need the colored lenses, the red and blue of yesteryear. Now, my anniversary set of the 8-part Paramount release came with 2 sets of glasses. I guess that means if you have more than 2 people over, one of them's fucked. You know, just like, oh, yeah, sorry, Bill. Guess you'll have to make your own. Now, what makes this stand out from the series is this is part of the 3D franchise that was prevalent in the 1980s. Now, a few points of trivia at this point. Initially, there was a call for the script draft to have Jenny, played by Amy Steele, in a psychiatric hospital confined, waiting for Jason to get back after they'd murdered the whole staff and other patients. But I guess it was a little too close to Halloween 2 and the latter Halloween Resurrection being too similar. I don't know. Personally, I would have loved to see some of the previous cast survivors go all Sarah Connor-like. Weapons training, hand-to-hand training, maybe they abuse alcohol just to sleep at night. You know, really flesh them out into, like, terrifying badasses living off the grid. Kind of turning them in the equivalency of the Winchester brothers from Supernatural. You know, just something on those lines. Alas, no. This is also, of course, the first film that was actually released on a Friday the 13th. Yeah, purposely. An amusing side note is Richard Broker was a former trapeze artist and rounds out at about 6'3", but he has one of those really lean tone builds that you can only get from being a constant trapeze artist. So, yeah, he had to wear this foam padding under his costume. But, in fact, did all his own stunts, and let's face it, some of that crap was kind of dangerous. Now, another interesting tidbit is the house, barn, and lake were actually made on location. The lake wasn't properly sealed, so the water actually ended up damaging the soil the first week of filming. Yeah. Whoops. Now, this flick cleared $36 million against a $4 million budget. So, yeah, with a body count of 12 and the fact that this is Paramount's first 3D flick since Ulysses, circa 1954, that 28 years prior, this is one of the few films that does not directly address our killer as Jason at all. Not once. I know, kind of mind-blowing, right? Now, because Part 3 needed a new series, or just kind of like a new gimmick, something to hook those kids, the Mark 3D filming system was used, only to find out what a huge pain in the ass every individual shot took. We're talking hours of prep, most of the actors that really not have anything to do, so new gags were invented to incorporate 3D, like Shelley juggling, or his wallet getting tossed at the camera. You know, maybe acting could have assisted here too. You know, you might want to let them do that. A funny side note, though, is that this one still kind of made me blank a few times. The hockey mask was decided upon because the burlap sack that he was wearing was apparently too close to David Lynch's The Elephant Man. And they didn't want to have any issues. And I'm going, oh, and here I thought you didn't want to offend the killer from Texas, Arkansas, in the town that dreaded sundown. But yeah, overall, this is still a decent film. You got plenty of gore, you got decent fun. Again, the 3D gimmick, you know, you have both versions. That is nice with the DVD and the Blu-ray. Hell, I think even the films on VHS were released that same way too. They were like, oh, this is a double feature. But again, still worthy of its pantheon, and Jason is still relatively mortal at this point. Okay, well, that's all I got, and keep your eyes peeled. We are working on Sean's film idea from the great beyond. Yeah, I know. Feel free to chuck up some suggestions here on the commentary. Feel free to make a suggestion or two. Any rate, I'm done. You folks have a good one. Again, hit Rotten Reels Reviews, blogspot.com. There's bound to be something you want to read there. Or, probably not. Take it easy.